Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today it's going to be Adventure Island 3 for the Nintendo Entertainment System, or the NES. This is one that's a few months overdue. I was actually planning on doing this back in January of this year, or February or so, whenever I started doing my Game Boy Adventure Island and Adventure Island 2 NES Let's Plays. However, at the time my AVS system broke. The USB port snapped off. Fortunately, I've since gotten a replacement. Everything is just fine now, and I've done several NES Let's Plays since, but the fact is, once I got my system back, I had to re-practice this game from the ground up, so that was sort of the delay. I just sort of pushed it off, but here we are now. We're going to attempt to run through Adventure Island 3 for the NES. It's actually a pretty good game, and it's one I actually enjoy more now than I think I did back in the mid-90s when I actually physically owned this game as a kid. Found it at a flea market really cheap, and, you know, played it a lot, but for some reason it just never resonated with me quite like Part 2 did back in the day. Now, as an adult, though, I think it's a pretty cool game. I do recommend checking it out, especially if you're kind of person that does emulation or flashcards, because this original cartridge is now stupid expensive, as a lot of retro games are, but this one in particular, in terms of the first 3 Adventure Island games, is way up there. So yeah, before we kick this off, as usual, I'd like to give a big shout out to my current Patreon backers. We actually got a new backer this week, Jerome Becker, or Jerome. We've spoken before, but Jerome lives overseas, so I probably butchered that name, but Jerome, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to also go ahead and flash by the recent Super Chatters as well from the live streams. Again, I do live streams every Thursday here on YouTube, so if you're bored Thursday night, feel free to check that out and hang out and say hello. So with that said, let's go ahead and just jump right into the game. So, much like Adventure Island 2 on the NES, you know, the game is split up into a variety of different areas. In Adventure Island 2, it was literal separate islands. In this one, it's just various portions of the same island, or cluster of islands, I should say. And I think it might have the same amount of worlds as Adventure Island 2. If not, it's got one less. I think it might be 8. I guess we're gonna find out. So what we got here is actually our first bonus stage. This is actually one of the new bonus stages that's not in Adventure Island 2. And you're going to hear me say either in Adventure Island 2 or not in Adventure Island 2 a lot, because one of the the negative aspects of Adventure Island 3 is that it takes a lot of assets from Adventure Island 2, including gameplay elements, actual music and things like that, actual stage backgrounds. A lot of it is ripped straight from Adventure Island 2, which is one of the reasons why this game was sort of underwhelming to me back when I first played it. But once again, like I said in the beginning of the video, you're playing it as an adult. I think it's a fine game. I think it's worth checking out. But you're going to hear me making lots of references to Adventure Island 2 throughout this playthrough. But yeah, that bonus stage with the surfboard, it's actually pretty tough to handle. You have to constantly, you know, wiggle your character back and forth to make sure he stays on that wave, and you know, if you fall off, you lose the bonus stage. But what was actually really cool, and this is one of the nice additions to Adventure Island 3, is that if you complete the bonus stage 100%, you get all the items, and you get to the end, you'll be awarded this crystal. And what this crystal does is it gives you an extra hit point. So in the Adventure Island series, and you know, the original Wonder Boy game that these spawned from, it's one-hit kills pretty much. Now, if you ever got the skateboard, or in Adventure Island 2 or 3, the dinosaurs, those would offer an extra hit point. But this diamond will stack on top of those, so you can use the dinosaurs, which I haven't gotten yet, and then the crystal, and then you'll have an extra 2 hit points. Which actually can really help make this game a little bit easier than Adventure Island 2. There's actually some other things in this that make it easier over Adventure Island 2 as well. For instance, a more steady course route, I should say. So in Adventure Island 3, assuming you don't find any hidden routes that allow you to change direction, it's the same route every time you play the game. Whereas in Adventure Island 2, there were these eggs you could pick up at the end of each level, and this was actually people in my Adventure Island 2 comments section let me know this, because I didn't know it going into that video, is when you pick an egg, that actually determines in the back end which route you're going to take on the island. And so you could take the long way around by accident, and you feel like you have no control over it, In Adventure Island 3, there's no such thing as that. You do find some occasional hidden areas, and they'll give you the option to exit the current stage, and if you do that, you skip the current stage, and then you go on an alternate path to the boss. So there's basically 2 set paths you can go on in this game on each set of areas, whereas in Adventure Island 2, it feels completely random. It's not actually technically completely random, but the way it's implemented, it might as well be completely random. So yeah, we actually also got the boomerang, and we're gonna just go ahead and press B and stash it in our inventory. That's probably the best way to do it. I like to spend these, probably the first world or two, just stashing items away. That way I have them when I really need them later on in the game. Something else we're going to keep in mind, we're going to keep a focus on as we play through the game, is score. So every 20,000 points in this game you get an extra life. And the reason that's important to me is just so I don't have to continue. If I can avoid continuing, that would be great. Because when you have to continue in this game, you get sent all the way back to the very beginning of whatever sub-island or world you're on or something like that. And it just makes our chances of survival much greater if we can just, well, survive. And so here we got another bonus stage. This is actually a tricky one because it actually goes over the top of the screen, which makes it very difficult to gauge where you are on these springs. But we'll see what we can do here. We picked up a bunch of dino icons and we failed. And that sucks, because we were right at the end too, and that would have given us a crystal, because I picked up all the items. But we did get a bunch of items at least, and if you're on a dinosaur and you pick up another icon, which would normally change you to another dinosaur, whatever dino you had goes back into your inventory. So we actually picked up quite a few dinos there, which is nice. So this is going to be an underwater stage. We want to actually definitely unequip any dino except for the underwater dino, which we don't have, but probably get it right here. Yeah, they always give it to you right in the beginning. If only they could be so generous in the later parts of the game. So yeah, this underwater dino is extremely fast, and if you hold down the B button as you're holding left and right, he'll just swim really, really quickly. And so there's later parts in the game where you have to be rushed in these underwater stages. And Master Higgins, your main character here, is extremely slow underwater. And with this underwater dino, you can blaze right through these stages, which is nice. But I'm going to actually take my time because my health meter is still pretty high. Your health meter up in the center portion of the screen is actually your timer. You can call it health, you can call it time. I just call it my time meter because it's one-hit kills in this game, so it's not really a health bar in that sense. But when that bar does run out, you die, and you gotta go back to the beginning of the stage, unfortunately. So again, I banked my my dino and my weapon. Yeah, so every 20,000 points, you get an extra life. We're at almost 25,000 now. Or I should say we're just a little over 24,000. And one nice thing about Adventure Island 3, oops, I just got the eggplant. That's not good. So the eggplant just constantly drains your time. Fortunately, the eggplants, I'm pretty sure, are in the same spots every time you play the game. So, you know, you can learn their locations, you can, you know, and learn to avoid them. So there's going to be a couple of key eggs in this game I'm going to try to avoid, if I remember which ones they are. Alright, so this is pretty much the boss fight. You can see we actually got another weapon here. We got the boomerang, which was this was a new addition in this game. I believe it was also featured in the new Adventure Island for the TurboGrafx and PC Engine. There was also a boomerang in Super Adventure Island on the Super Nintendo. Although it operates a little bit differently in this one. This one, the boomerang will actually cut through multiple enemies, and you can also shoot it vertically, which is nice. But one of the issues with the boomerang in this game is that you can only throw one out at a time, and so you need to make sure that you're really accurate with your shooting. Otherwise, you might miss, and you'll be left wide open, unfortunately. And so we got our little green dino. The green dino might actually be the best dino in the game because all you do is you press B and he spins, and as long as something touches you while you're spinning, you pretty much will override their attacks and kill them. Now, unfortunately, he's not that good against bosses, because you have to actually physically touch the boss with this guy. And so we're gonna kind of see what we can do here with this little dude. See, yeah, we just took a hit. That's typical for this boss, when I've got that little green dino. But he's super fast. Very good. We actually killed that boss. Sometimes that boss can be pretty tricky, especially if you've got that green dino. This boss's stage is curved. You know, there's the hills on the left and right sides of the screen, and so it's definitely difficult sometimes to avoid his projectile patterns. Fortunately, the bosses in this game aren't typically all that complex. You know, they're not too hard to avoid, and that was dumb. I should have jumped over that guy. That was my fault completely. I'll go ahead and try it again without equipping weapons. But the thing about starting these levels without equipping weapons is that you're vulnerable. You've got no way to attack, and you pretty much have to just jump over everything. Now, later on in the game, you might not have a choice. You might have to try to get through some of the later stages without weapons, or dinos or something like that, because maybe you've used them all. And that's where a lot of the challenge in this game comes from, is when you run out of items and power-ups and dinos, it's very, very difficult. And that was always one of the biggest areas of difficulty in any of these games, either the original Wonder Boy these are based on, or the original Adventure Island on the NES, or even Adventure Island 2. So, one thing I wanted to show you is that this red dino can actually go in lava. Very, very good to know. He will actually make later stages extremely easy, and so we need to keep that in mind for certain later stages in this game. But like I said, we're gonna go ahead and bank them. I'm gonna go ahead and just use the boomerang. I'd like to start some of these stages with some weapons. And so we're about 6,000 points away from our next extra life. And look at that, we got a hammer, so we're gonna go ahead and just take that. That banks our the boomerang we just had. The nice thing about the boomerang, though, is that it'll actually cut through rocks and boulders and whatnot. So that boulder that just came at me, the boomerang would have been really helpful there, because it would have just sliced right through it. And just like Adventure Island 2, there is a mechanic in this game where if you destroy enough rock-based items, or obstacles, I should say. And I missed that. That might have been a bonus stage. If you destroy enough rock-based obstacles, you'll actually get the occasional extra life from them, which is extremely, extremely handy. And we've got these pink frogs there. The pink frogs, they'll jump basically the second they see you. And so later on in the game, if you don't have any weapons or dinos, if you just keep holding right when you see the dinos, or when you see the frogs, sorry, they'll just jump over you, pretty much guaranteed 100% of the time. There's also green frogs, which take 2 hits. The pink frogs only take 1 hit. The green frogs don't do anything until you shoot them once, and then they basically turn into pink frogs, and will just, you know, jump like the pink frogs normally do. There's a bonus stage. Bonus stages are great because it's a way to, you know, get some extra... Oh! Okay, so this is actually something interesting. This is, you can actually skip the entire island. We're not going to do that because I'd like to show you the entire game. And that was something that was featured in Adventure Island 2 as well. But there are other ones you can find, which are actual bonus rooms with a bunch of items littered throughout. And when you find those bonus rooms will actually give you an option to skip the level you're on. And if you do that, that's when it shoots you on an alternate route on the world that you're currently on. But we're gonna avoid, if we find those, we're not gonna skip the stages, because I want to just show you like the main route through the game in case you're having trouble with this game. I'm also not as well practiced on the alternate routes, even though I don't think I'd really have that much of a problem, but just in case, you know, I'm gonna play it safe. Alright, so we got the fairy. The fairy makes you invincible, which is nice. And there's the pink frog I was talking about. And so one thing I like to do is if I've got a weapon on hand, I like to try to attack the eggs that I see. So the eggs are basically your power-up canisters. And if you run into the egg, depending on which way you run into it from, you'll push it in the way that you're currently heading. Now, on stages like these cloud levels, or levels with really tight platforms, if you push the egg forward, there's a good chance you're going to knock it off the ledge, and you're going to miss whatever power-up it contains. And so we're going to drop... Ooh, oh, barely made that. I'm glad I made that, because we got the chance of getting another crystal. And the crystals really come in handy later on in the game. So we're going to get another power-up crystal, which is great. Very good, very good. Perfect bonus. But yeah, if you're running forward into an egg, you push it forward. And actually, I think if you hit it too far in the front, like if you try to jump into it, but you go too far to the front edge of it, you might even still knock it backwards. Either way, you knock it in a direction, and it can fall off whatever platform it's on. And then you lose it, which is not good. Alright, so this might actually be one of our level skip sections. So these waterfall stages oftentimes have hidden areas, and I actually kind of like the waterfall effect in this game. It's like they're using bigger, chunkier, you know, pixel sprite work, which is kind of cool. That's something that's not in Adventure Island 2. Some of the visuals in this game are a little bit better. Not like, you know, light years better. It's not like going from like Super Mario Brothers to Super Mario Brothers 3 or something like that. But there are a couple of nice touches in Adventure Island 3 that you don't have as much in Adventure Island 2. Alright, we got ourselves another perfect. So, something else I didn't really mention yet is collecting fruits increases your time meter, or your health, if you want to call it that. And, there's also the tally in the top right-hand portion of the screen telling you how many fruits you have. And, if you get 100 fruits, you get an extra life. So there's a bunch of different ways to get an extra life, and unfortunately I just lost that dino. I could have totally avoided that, but that's okay. Still early on in the game, not a huge deal. But the blue dino especially is my favorite to use, just because of his, you know, projectile ability. He can shoot 2 projectiles at once. And we got the pterodactyl. With the pterodactyl we can pretty much just skip over the rest of the stage, but I want to see if there are any hidden eggs or anything like that. And there's not. If you shoot a projectile where a hidden egg is, the projectile disappears and it makes like a little scratchy kind of sound. And so that's why what you'll see me do in this game and Adventure Island 2, actually, and the first game, is you'll see me just constantly shooting, and when I've got the boomerang, I'll just shoot along the ground, because if there's an egg, a hidden egg along the ground, it's gonna find it, basically. And unfortunately, I missed that hidden egg. Sometimes birds drop eggs, so when you see a bird, it's good to try to only attack it when it's above land. Which, in that case, it wasn't. There's a couple of leaps of faith in this game as well, where, you know, the screen is high up, and unfortunately, I should say the screen is higher up. It's too high up to where you can't see the ground, and... Alright, so I am the keeper of the 3 eggs, choose one. So this guy just, you know, lets you choose from 3 eggs. It's sort of, I don't know if the power-ups are randomized or whatnot. I usually just pick whatever, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I don't think there's a way to force scroll the screen in this game. Like, I'm holding up right now, the screen's not scrolling, which that would be the typical way for you to force scroll the screen. Say like Sonic the Hedgehog or something like that. Very common feature. I almost got killed there. Very common feature in platformers starting from the, really the early 90s. I'm trying to think, what's the first game that let you do that? I know Sonic the Hedgehog was one of the earlier ones that I remember being able to do it on, but I'm sure there was probably another game before that let you do it. Did Super Mario 3 let you do that? I don't remember. I don't remember. Alright, so this boss actually isn't too hard. You can just stay back from a distance, shoot him with the boomerang, or the hammer if you've got it. And it basically just goes center, right, left, center, right, left. Just kind of like so. It's actually kind of easy, or, sorry, not easy. Well, it is easy, but it's kind of nice having some boss fights that aren't terribly stressful in this game. Now, there are some boss fights that might give some people trouble, but for the most part, I think a lot of the boss fights aren't too bad in this game. And that's kind of nice, because in Adventure Island 2, some of the bosses could be a pain, especially that final boss. And, so Adventure Island 3, I don't think is as difficult as Part 2 is in terms of its boss fights. And it's not like the boss fights were really that hard in Adventure Island 2 anyway, it's just that there's so much crap you're put through in these games, especially later on in the game, that you really just don't want to go through an insanely difficult level and then deal with a really difficult boss fight at the same time, because when you die in this game, you gotta do the whole stage over again. There are no checkpoints or anything like that, so I kind of like how the boss fights really aren't that tough in this game. Alright, there's another egg from a bird, and he gave us a blue dino, which is nice. So your blue dino and your green dino and your red dino are extremely fast, and so they're great dinos to have. They're definitely my favorite in terms of movement. Well, also the green dino, obviously, like I mentioned. No, we're not going to bank that. We're going to go ahead and keep using the boomerang. Gotta watch out for these walrus dudes. They actually just hop straight up, and they can be a bit of a pain to deal with. Look at that, another bonus area. Alright, so what is this one gonna be? Okay, I'm good with this. Because basically what we're doing on these bonus stages, we're picking up fruits, we're getting points. Points lead us to our next extra life. We're getting lots of backup items and things like that. And there's another blue dino. Oh, that was close. About 16,000 points away from another extra life. And we've got a bunch of crystals now. Like, I'm feeling pretty good about this run. I mean, however, it is Adventure Island. Never get too comfortable in these games. But I am feeling pretty good right now. We've got a bunch of crystals that, you know, I don't normally have by this point in the game. I usually fail the bonus stages more than I succeed at them. So, you know, we're doing pretty well in that regard, which is nice. And I'm mainly just constantly attacking because I'm looking for those hidden eggs. So, like, when you see me constantly attacking like this, it's not because, like, I'm just doing it because I can. I'm doing it because I want to try to find hidden eggs. It also doesn't hurt because, you know, if you've got enemies that just are constantly coming in as you scroll the screen over, well, maybe you'll be able to attack those and kill those guys before, you know, you get too close to them. And we lost the blue dino again, unfortunately. There we go. So like I said, waterfall stages, a lot of times there's some hidden areas you can go to. And this is what I was talking about right here. So if we go to skip, we'll actually skip this level. And we will end up taking a different route to the boss, basically. Okay, good. We got this guy. We got the bank, the pterodactyl. The pterodactyl, he's a pretty useful dino, but if you start a stage out with the pterodactyl dino, I noticed that you'll start with much lower health. I think basically what that is to keep you from just flying over stages and just rushing right to the end, which is something you could actually do in Adventure Island 2. In this one, it actually requires a little more skill if you're going to use the pterodactyl dino. Because you start with so little health, you have to fly low to pick up fruits, and flying low with the pterodactyl is dangerous. So that is actually a change from Adventure Island 2. But actually balances things out a little bit. It makes sense that they did that, because when you have the pterodactyl in Part 2, you could just fly over stages. over and over again. These little seahorses, they take 2 hits. There's a lot of really simplistic enemies in this game. It's the projectile-based enemies you usually have to worry about, or the enemies that just run in really, really fast, because those guys will catch you off guard. And that was a really short and easy level. It's okay. And another desert stage. So desert stages, it's actually good to play as the green guy, because these are the stages where there's a lot of, you know, jumping, bouncing enemies. There's a lot of enemies running at you quickly, like that guy. And again, as long as you're spinning, an enemy can just land right on top of you, and as long as you're spinning, you pretty much kill them. So hopping kangaroos, I don't know why there are kangaroos in the desert. It's okay, it's a video game, don't question it. That's kind of how I look at it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and try to risk it without the dinos. Actually, I probably should have used one of the dinos because there's going to be falling boulders here. There's going to be multiples. I actually got caught off by that when I was practicing this on stream, you know, about a week or so ago, prior to actually doing this playthrough. Ooh, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get that. That sucks. It's okay, I think I got this. It's, you know, it's still fairly early in the game. We're not quite halfway through the game yet. And so things aren't all that crazy just yet. Ah, and we missed that too. I think that might have been a red dino. Yeah, there's nothing over there. Just kill that guy. It's probably going to be a bat. There usually are bats. No bat. That's good. What the Adventure Island games like to do, at least parts 2 and 3, is they like to troll you with bats. Oh, this is the boss fight too. I didn't even realize that. I wasn't paying attention. They like to troll you with bats at the most inconvenient locations. And for this guy, what we're going to do is we're going to jump over here and just kind of just chill right here. And what he'll do is he'll do this, you know, circular fire pattern. You won't actually get hit, even if you have a dino. If you have the dinos, you actually sit much taller. But the trick is to just move over to the right side of the screen. You won't actually get hit by the fireballs. Now you gotta be careful on this boss, because if you do take a hit, chances are, like especially if you're on a dino, you'll take a hit and you'll get knocked off the dino and you'll probably fall into the lava, which is not good. Nice. Another good boss fight. We've got 9 lives. We're almost gonna get another life. We're sitting pretty right now. Of course, you know, the game does get harder. And I think it's the world after this where things really start to heat up. So I'm gonna go ahead and just use one of my dinos, just play it safe. And I actually used the wrong dino. When I've got a lot of like platforming like that, I think the green dino is better, because there's a lot of points where you just land right on top of an enemy, but the blue dino can't really do anything if he lands on top of an enemy. He just dies. So the green dino is definitely better for stages like this, I feel. Gotta watch out for those coconuts that fall. And those clouds are actually new enemies in this game, and those guys are a major pain. They come overhead, they shoot these lightning bolts down, and yeah. Probably my least favorite enemies in the game, actually. Because there's a lot of parts later on in the game where they're in like trollish kind of scenarios as well. We'll go ahead and use the blue dino once more. Yep, I had a feeling there was gonna be the eggplant guy. So if you pass those flowers, flowers that aren't pickup items, those wolves or whatever will come from behind, and you've got to watch out for those guys. So here's another one coming up. Look at that, we got another blue dino again. Just like that. So I cross the flower. It's usually right when the flower goes off the screen is when they pop in. Okay, probably a hidden stage. Yep. Oh, this is gonna be tricky. Yeah, the surfboard stages are always fairly tricky. They're the stages, the bonus stages I'm the least skilled at. I mean, I guess technically I'm the most skilled at them because they require the most skill. But they're the toughest for me, I guess is what I probably should have said. Look at that, that's 2 in one game. Normally I fail at the surfboard bonus stages. Because the second you land on the wave, you'll notice that Master Higgins, he like slides. So you don't have a whole lot of, you don't have very tight control on the surfboard bonus stages. So very, very tricky bonus stages. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and switch over to the green dino. Because he seems to be really good for, you know, levels where you might land on enemies. Or enemies might slam right into you. Which is exactly what these desert stages are like. And we actually just picked up another green dino. So the green dino is actually denoted by the star icons. And there's not a whole lot of fruit on that level. We didn't really get much fruit at all, so we were actually getting close to dying from running out of time. And so this is... We'll go ahead and just use the green dino again, why not? Oh no! I thought I was gonna hit him, but I came out of my attack animation. Oh, that was bad. It's okay, we'll just do it normally. I don't like losing the green dino in particular, because he's an asset. He's a very, very good power-up to have. So these indoor pyramid stages are actually new additions to this game. So like I said, you know, Adventure Island 3 does regurgitate some level themes, but the indoor pyramid sections are new, and this is actually a secret. You can go through that wall up there, get some meat. The meat pretty much gives you all of your time back, which is nice. I'm gonna skip that fruit. Basically just gonna try to take it safe, don't want to lose my dino. And that's it. Shame that we died the first time, but it's not really a big deal. We've got a ton of lives. And this is not the boss area. Yeah, because the boss area you actually go through a sunken ship. So that's basically what would happen. And you know you're at the boss area too if the UFO flies off. And there we go. Alright, so last stage, and then we're gonna fight the boss, and we're gonna go ahead and use the underwater dino again. See, there you go, the UFO flies off, boss appears, and that's how the game works. Yeah, we'll go ahead and just use this combo again, because again, this guy is really fast, and I like that. Fast underwater anyway, he's really, really slow on land. So that's something to keep in mind, is this guy is really only handy when you're underwater. When you're not underwater, he's not all that useful. I mean, he still acts as a shield though, you know? Every dino in this game acts as an extra hit point. So that is something to keep in mind. If you're having trouble later on in the game, but you've run out of all the dinosaurs but the underwater fellow, you can use him just as an extra hit point. Something to keep in mind when you're playing this game. And Adventure Island 2, it operates the exact same way. And there we go, we're gonna fight the boss. And having this guy actually makes the boss easier, because the boss will just fly right across the screen. Something you gotta watch out for in this boss, though, is objects come up from down below, and they will hit you. However, you can at least kill those objects, which is nice. So we're just gonna take this fight nice and slow if we can. And again, with the boomerang, you can shoot it upwards, which is very, very nice. And this guy's hitbox is definitely weird, because he definitely touched me, and nothing happened. So, but I'm okay with that. I'm just gonna take advantage of it. Alright, he's almost dead now, for sure. There he is. Another good boss fight. We got 10 lives, 6,000 points to an extra life, 6 more fruits until an extra life, and this is where the game, in my eyes, starts to get fairly challenging. We're going to go ahead and use the red dino, because he can fall in lava. Remember that. And there's a hammer. Oh, I didn't even know I could walk down below. I had no idea. Look at that, we just learned something new, guys. I like it when I learn new things in these Let's Plays. So like this part, I can just... I had no... Wow, that's really good to know, actually. I mean, it makes sense, because you see the lava continuing to go, but that's a big strategy. If you're having... Like, those lava levels are really tough. Those are some of the toughest levels in the game, in my opinion. And I think this might be where another eggplant is, yeah. And I always forget. Nope, he's in the bottom. And we're gonna die. Yep, we just ran out of time. Yeah, I always forget if it's the bottom or the top ones. We just wasted that dino, unfortunately. But we'll go ahead and... Actually, you know what? Let's, we got plenty of... I don't know, see, this guy's really good for this level, though, so... Alright, let's hope that we don't take a hit. There we go. Now, what I could have actually done is went back and picked up the other egg, because what's interesting is once you get the top egg, which is the fairy makes you invincible for a short period of time. When you get the fairy, the bottom egg with the eggplant in it goes away. I shouldn't say it goes away, the eggplant disappears. So you can actually pick up the bottom egg and you won't get the eggplant. Something to keep in mind. And I wasn't really thinking about that. Yeah, so we just got another extra life from points. And even though I died, we're still at 11 lives, more than we had when we went into that stage. And we're gonna go ahead and just stick with the green dino. I think there might be like a stopwatch power up here. Yep. And we're just gonna bolt through as fast as we can. So with the stopwatch, everything stops. Enemies, your timer, it all stops. Getting lots of power-ups. We're doing pretty well. Definitely doing pretty well. But you can also see like how much easier the game is with power-ups. Like imagine trying to do this without any power-ups. Those are the situations you can find yourself in, especially as you're trying to learn this game and you're not familiar with the enemy patterns and where the enemies are located and things like that. And that's where a lot of the challenge comes from with these second two Adventure Island games. Adventure Island 1 on the NES is just in a league of its own in terms of difficulty. But Adventure Islands 2 and 3, with these added power-ups that they brought to the table, you know, the dinos, and now in this one, you've got the crystal shield, and then you've also got the boomerang. Life can be made so much easier than the original Adventure Islands. We're going to switch back over to the red dino, take advantage of his lava firewalking ability. Oh, I just missed it. That's actually not good. So I actually don't need to be, oh crap, now I do. I basically have to rush this because... Okay, I can not rush now. So this is actually a really tough level. You'll notice that there's those spiked bone platforms that they drop. The platforming on those is really, really weird. Like, the second they drop, you're actually left mid-air, so you can't jump off of them as they're falling. Very, very tricky. And what I should have done is with the the red dino, just walked straight through the lava. But I remember that there were fireballs coming up, and I think he might still get hurt by the fireballs. So I didn't want to take that risk. So what I'm going to do is... This is tough. What do I want to do? Tough situation to be in, I should say. Because if I make it to the boss with this dino, I do want to have a longer range projectile. We're going to go ahead and use the crystal at the same time. And we'll go ahead and just stick with this and just kind of see what happens. Oh, jeez. I didn't expect that ghost to be there. I know there was a couple ghosts on this level, but I didn't think there was going to be one so early. We're just going to go ahead and risk it without any safety net. So you can see I'm basically just trying to take my time. And you gotta watch out for these bones that fall at the very edges of these platforms. Okay. Oh, no, that's not it. I thought that was the exit. Yeah, those ghosts are a little tricky to deal with. Alright, so we're at the boss fight. I think we should probably be fine. So this guy's a little tricky. He's takes these fireballs, throws them around. Kind of like so. The fireballs will pretty much just go wherever you are on the screen. And then his head comes loose and flies across the screen as well. Like so. Now, unfortunately, it looks like when his fireballs are there, the boomerang doesn't do anything, which is unfortunate. Try to just bait those fireballs in a very specific direction. Wow, not a single hit. There we go. Yeah, I actually think that's a little bit easier with the hammer, surprisingly. I feel like I can get more hits off in a more rapid fashion. So that was actually the first time I've ever fought that boss with the boomerang, though. So that was actually kind of interesting. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually risk it without any dinos. I don't remember this actual stage being too terribly difficult. Of course, right as I say that. So these bone levels, you've got to really just You don't stand still on the edges. Yeah, that was my mistake. Another extra life. Man, this is where, like, I've been playing too long and I start stuttering. It's that point of the Let's Play, guys. Yeah, I had a feeling that would be an egg, and there's our green dino. And we're gonna have to push forward to get some fruit, but there's some fruit, so that's okay. Yeah, so from this point on, time becomes, you know, more of a critical factor in terms of survival. So you've got to constantly be pushing forward, you got to make sure you're, you know, getting fruits. And this guy is not very useful here, but that's okay. Oh, and I dropped it. That might have been a bonus stage. I'm not... That actually probably was a bonus stage. Alright, so these ice picks, you can actually attack them before they fall. And that's what I typically like to do there. Kind of like so. Just keep moving. There's... Alright, again, you can see like our time was almost about to run out, so this is where things start to get a little more tense. It never gets as intense as, say, the original Adventure Island, or no, maybe not even Adventure Island 2. But this level is probably one of the trickiest for me in the game. But with the green dino, you can just make quick work of it. There's these bunnies that are constantly hopping at you. There are these penguins that drop these snowballs. And if you attack the snowballs, they burst into a bunch of smaller pieces and they're hard to avoid. Would you like to skip the boss in this stage? No, because I'm going to show you the entire game. And I missed that again. And I missed another hidden egg. Yeah, this green dino just makes this stage so much easier. Wow. On stream, I was actually having a really hard time with this level, and I actually just took a hit because I lost my shield. But that's okay. I'd rather lose my shield than lose the dino, because the dino can really, really come in handy later on in the game. And we are actually later on in the game now. We've got 2 more worlds after this. And we're going to go ahead and just stick it out with our green buddy. Now that's probably an eggplant, I'm not going to touch it. Green frog, so he doesn't do anything. Not until you hit him once. But our green dino is so powerful, you'll just hit him twice. Instantly. In a way, this guy is almost too good. He just makes short work of pretty much anything that would normally cause damage to you. So either rocks or boulders or things like that. Now, he's not immune to fire, unfortunately. So he's, you know, not completely godlike, but he's pretty good. He's pretty good. Alright, so we're gonna fall down here. This is actually another secret area. Oh, you can't get it with him. Oh, that's not good. So, normally you bust open that wall and you get to another secret area. It's another one of those dinos that gives you, you know, the choice of 3 eggs. And that's what I was talking about right there. So if you attack those little snow boulders, snowballs, they'll burst into a bunch of tinier pieces. So what we're gonna do is switch over to one of these guys, and because I'm pretty sure you can get that secret area with this dude. Oh man, these rabbits are definitely a pain. They're probably my least favorite enemies in the game. Well, aside from the penguins. Right behind those clouds that shoot lightning bolts. Alright, so I don't want to attack that because it'll burst into pieces. There we go. Now you press up to go in, and then you can just, you know, pick an egg. And it's not much, unfortunately. That was a pretty bad award, but it's okay. That's not good. Oh, that was close. Oh, very, very close. We were about to run out of time. Alright, so we did it, and this is pretty much the boss room. And so what I'm going to do is actually switch over to our... We're going to do the blue dino. We're going to go ahead and equip a shield. Just to make this boss easier. For those of you guys that saw my Adventure Island 2 Game Boy playthrough, that's actually a port of Adventure Island 3 from the NES. This boss was a major pain in that game, and I'm not gonna mess with that. So that power-up was actually the pterodactyl. And the pterodactyl's not very good on this boss, if I recall correctly. Alright, there we go. And he's gonna fling that at me, and then more of these guys are gonna come down. Good fight, first try. Unlike the Game Boy Let's Play, where I think it took us like 7 times to beat him, or something ridiculous like that. Granted, in the Game Boy version, he's stuck, I think, on the right-hand side of the screen. I think that's how it works. It's been several months since I've done that Let's Play, but it was not much fun to go through, unfortunately. And it looks like I banked my crystal. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to just keep the crystal equipped. I figured, you know, why not? It's not hurting anything, it's raising my chances of survival. So there might actually be a secret here as well. You notice that there's some black openings. That's not one. There we go, right there. And we are not going to skip, as usual. We're just going to exit. We're going to collect all the power-ups. Those are probably the best bonus rooms to get, because depending on how well you play, I'm not sure what the requirements and stipulations are, but sometimes you'll land inside that box which has the crystal. Sometimes you won't. Sometimes you'll land outside the box, and you won't be able to go in and get the crystal. So if anyone out there is really familiar with this game and knows how to access that, let me know in the comments section. But especially when you can get the crystal in there, those are definitely the best bonus stages, because you get multiple dinos, you get fruit replenishments, you can get the crystal, which again gives you a shield, which is extremely important. Which we'll go ahead and equip it. Another green dino. And that's it. Man, we're just tearing through some of these stages. Like, I almost feel like I'm jinxing myself with playing well, because not necessarily playing well, because I mean, I've got all these power-ups, so like life is much easier. Like if I didn't have any of these power-ups, you guys would be seeing me die way, way more often. Let's see if we can go ahead and deal with the green dino again here. Oops, just lost our shield. Wow, he's actually almost too fast for this part. That's tough. That's okay. We'll see what we can do. Bonus stage. Full meat, that's good. I should say meat, which gives me full health. Alright, pterodactyl. Assuming we don't get hit by this rock. And we could take it relatively slow, because we got full health right now. Yep. So sometimes I actually do use the pterodactyl on these volcano stages. The way he can just scroll the top of the screen, you'll keep scrolling the screen, but if you stop at the right times, you won't get hit by the lava spurts. And we're gonna go ahead and yeah, we're gonna see if we can fly through this stage with him. But again, you need to fly a little bit low to get some fruits. Alright, we need that. Ooh, we lost it. That's okay. The pterodactyl, aside from the underwater dino, is probably my least used dinosaur in the game, so it's okay if I lose him. It's not really a big deal, but you know, he could definitely make certain stages easier, and you know, that's one of the fun things to try to figure out in this game is, you know, what dinos make life easier on what stages. And that's not really how I've ever looked at this game or Adventure Island 2. I just always just, you know, played it level for level, never really thought that deeply into it. But like right now, we've got a water stage, so we definitely want to use the underwater dino for this. Now, unfortunately, time is really, really tight on this this one, so I basically want to try to rush through a little bit. Good, got it. Now, if you're using a dry land dino, you need to rush across the top, and there's very, very little fruit along the top route. And I think there's going to be another stage just like that on the final world. Alright, and so we're going to switch over to... I don't know how I want to do this. I'm going to go ahead and just do it with just Master Higgins himself. Because I don't think any of these guys are going to be particularly useful. Maybe the pterodactyl, because there are going to be some more of those cloud enemies. Like right here. And we actually just took a hit, so I would have died if I didn't have that crystal. And there's actually a lot of tight jumping on this stage. So this is actually a pretty tricky level. You gotta watch out for the clouds that are sort of like bobbing up and down a little bit. They look a little uneven with the rest of them. Those clouds will fall. So you gotta keep an eye on those as you're platforming. And there's some really tight jumps like this too. Where if you're just a couple pixels off, you're probably gonna die, unfortunately. And just try to skip that guy. And that's it, we got it. First try. Good stuff. Alright, so I don't think we're gonna have trouble at this boss, but, you know, you never know. Ooh, that was close. I actually prefer the Game Boy version of this boss, because he just sits on the right-hand side of the screen, and you have constantly moving platforms going up the left side, which is actually really cool. You're constantly jumping up those platforms, and it's fun. I like it on the Game Boy version. Good, got him, first try. Alright, so this pretty much puts us at the final world. Or the final set of areas. It's not really, I mean, it's all technically the same world, I guess, right? So Area 8-1. And what we're going to do is switch over to our pterodactyl. We're going to use a crystal. You can kind of see what I was talking about with just using the pterodactyl. But you gotta make sure you keep your pace up, because, you know, you start with very little health, very little time. But he seems to work out pretty well in these volcano stages. You know, he's probably the fastest dino in the game, actually. You know, when he's at his highest speed up in the air, I think he flies through the levels faster than any other dino can. I'm going to switch back over to Old Faithful here. Our green dino has been extremely handy in this playthrough. Ooh, we took a hit, unfortunately. It's okay, still got our dino. That's what the crystals are for. $12 lives, almost at another extra life. 3,000 points for another extra life. And so, like I said, we have another one of these levels. So we're gonna go ahead and just use the purple dino. Just sort of rush through it. You can see how fast he goes underwater. Maybe it's a she. I don't know. There we go. I think we're good. We got some fruits. Took a hit, unfortunately. There's a key. Might as well take it. Oh, very good. But you can see how we didn't land inside the box. And so since we're outside the box, we can't get in, unfortunately. So, no crystal. But we got a bunch of other power-ups too, which is great. Alright, this is gonna give us an extra life. There it is. And we are getting close to the end of this game. I'm gonna switch back over to this guy, and I'm not gonna use that crystal this time. I want to save it, just in case I might need it on the final stage. Alright, switch to the blue dino. Wasn't really intending on doing that, but that's okay. Okay, that's not okay. Another surfboard level. Nice. That's 3 for 3 in the surfboard levels. Like I said, I normally fail those. I'm usually pretty terrible at them, but I guess I'm just really getting the hang of it now. Which is cool. That's always satisfying in these classic games. And not just classic games, but any kind of, you know, action game in general that's is challenging. Is getting the hang of new things and getting good at them. And it's very satisfying doing that. That's a very tight jump there. It's that constant improvement that makes video games rewarding to play. Took a hit, unfortunately. Oh, 2 hits. That's not good. Well, we might end up running out of time because we're super slow now. Ah, I turned around too. I didn't mean to do that. That's okay. We got plenty of lives. We got plenty of dinos. I just need to take it a little bit safer this time. Oh, I did it again. That's okay. Alright, so when you're just Master Higgins, you really gotta watch out for those bubbles. They basically just keep you in place. And so when you're stuck in place, you just run out of time. You're also left vulnerable to other enemies and projectiles and things like that. Alright, full health, that's good. Alright, I think we're fine. Yeah, that's the exit. Alright. And, I don't know if this is it. Is this it? Final area? 8-6? I don't remember. So we'll go ahead and use the pterodactyl and hope for the best. Yeah, you can really see how they're not giving you many pieces of fruit at this point in the game. There we go. Good deal. Yep, final boss. Although with the pterodactyl, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. I might have to take a hit, unfortunately. Yeah, there's nothing I can do here. Alright, so now we've got the second form, which we fight the dude that was inside that UFO. And if I recall correctly, it basically goes in a pattern. So it goes right, left, center, right, left, center, right, left, center, and so forth. Alright, we're getting close. And that's it. We just beat Adventure Island 3 for the NES. Oh man, feels pretty good to get this one knocked out. Like I said, this one's been on my plate for a while. And, you know, due to unfortunate circumstances, when I was originally going to go record it, that set us back a few months. But then I just sort of delayed on it after that because I had to re-practice the game and refamiliarize myself with it. But here we are now. I think overall it was a pretty good playthrough. We had, you know, some mistakes, but, you know, those dinos really helped us out. Getting those crystals early on in the game really helped us out as well. And, overall, I'd say it was a pretty good run. We still had a ton of extra lives in the bank. We still had a ton of items in the bank and things like that. So, you know, that's actually was probably my best run of this game yet, honestly. Usually I have a little more trouble than that on certain parts. But when you've got those dinos and those power-ups, you can almost feel unstoppable in this game. This is definitely easier than Adventure Island 2. I used to think that this was harder. But no, it's easier than Adventure Island 2. Yeah, if you want some, if you want to witness some trials and tribulations firsthand, go check out my Adventure Island 2 NES Let's Play. I think that Let's Play ended up taking an hour longer than it was supposed to because I died at the final world and had to keep going through it. And so you guys get to see firsthand how annoying that game can be at times. And I still like Adventure Island 2, I still think it's a good game, but I feel like this one isn't as challenging, and as such, in some ways, it's actually more fun to play. It's also more consistent in terms of like the level progression and things like that. Whereas Adventure Island 2, it feels a lot more random. Again, even though I said it's not, it's just the way the level progression is implemented, it might as well be random to the casual onlooker. But yeah, Adventure Island 3, pretty cool game. I do enjoy it. I enjoy it more now than I did when I was a kid. For some reason, I wrote it off even after buying it as a kid. I think it was because it just felt like more of the same. And a lot of games that follow the same formula feel like more of the same, but not to the degree that this did with Adventure Island 2, because it reuses a lot of the same music is still used. Not even remixes, it's the literal same tunes, the same sprites, the same animations, some of the same backgrounds and things like that. But going back and playing it today and finishing it multiple times and getting used to the game, I can see the differences and I can see the improvements that were made over Adventure Island 2. And in a way, I might say that this is the definitive one to play. If you got a choice between parts 2 and 3, part 3 might actually be the one to play because it's not nearly as brutal as part 2. And it does have some other nice features like the shield crystal and things like that. The green dino is really awesome in this game. And some of the bosses, I think, are even potentially a little more interesting to a degree. So there you have it, guys. Adventure Island 3 for the NES. And the music cut out, that's actually supposed to happen. So you get to the presented by Hudson Soft and the music just fades out completely. And but yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoy this Let's Play. If you're brand new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I've got a ton of Let's Plays on the way, and many more in the backlog you can feel free to check out if you're new here. If you're already subbed, thank you once again for your usual support. Hope you guys continue to enjoy these videos. And yeah, on the next video, I don't know what it's going to be, but until the next video, which is what I meant to say, take it easy.